like delayed.
Where are you? Oh, is that like actually a Casting Crowns
Like
concert
yeah.
in the background?
Picture of me.
Okay.
I'll take it off. It looked like it was screwing up the video.
We are live to millions and millions of people on the interweb.
So many. You know what? Aren't we
So
supposed to
many.
sit and stare at each other awkwardly for a while people log on?
Yeah. Thanks. We'll give everybody a few more minutes to log on.
Got any advertisement stuff you want to plug? We're on the thing you want to plug. That's the weird irony of it.
Yeah. Today's live stream is sponsored by. We don't have a sponsor. Hello Fresh.
Hello sponsor yours. Hello Fresh. Yeah. And a purple mattress.
Are you tired of cooking meals yourself?
Have you thought about that? Just throwing ads out there and seeing if people pick up on it and go.
Yeah, I've thought that would be hilarious. Just like make up sponsors.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can make up sponsors. I was talking about just doing one for Skittles and seeing if they go. Thanks for the help. Or like Venmo you some.
Yeah.
Some money.
Well, I would prefer some like random, Burt's Beeswax. Sponsor, or just something
like the more practical stuff. Or you mean like the way out there?
So like, something way out there.
Freedom Patriot coffee brand, the blackest of black.
Yes,
these guys, they're made in a compound in northern Michigan.
Yes, that would be perfect. Which I think the My Pillow guy just came out with My Coffee, is what I'm seeing on the Facebook webs.
Really?
I
guess the.
I don't know.
I'm trying to think of the overlap on that. I don't. Like you'd think he would have started with sheets, maybe My Pillow, my sheets, then my curtains. Yeah, then you could progress into the kitchen.
Maybe move into towels.
Yeah,
and just expand from there outward.
There's a few products between pillow and coffee. That's what I'm saying.
Jumped right in. Jumped right. Just that's a big leap. So anyway, well, so we could banter all day. So anyway, thanks everybody for listening and watching the stream on YouTube and Facebook and wherever you are, MySpace. And so
I'm broadcasting this on my GeoCities site, so we might have some hits on that one.
This is going to be tough because so I'm Jono with FaithWorks Marketing, and we handle web design and search engine optimization and Google Ads and Facebook social media for churches and faith-based nonprofits, and so. My guest today is the one and only Juan DeVevo, the guitar player from the band. What's the name of your band?
Mercy Me, yeah.
Counting Crowns.
Counting Crowns. Yeah, Counting Crowns.
Casting Crows. Casting Crowns. Thanks for being here, man. Love you guys' music. Mercy Me. Oh man, I was gonna make an I Can Only Imagine joke.
We do that. We're pretty much interchangeable. The only thing is we have a couple of ladies. That's the only difference. They don't have.
Gotcha.
And also, I do none of that social media optimization, search engine interpolation. Yeah, I don't do any of that stuff.
Know nothing about that. So
it's good you're here. We'll talk to you about that stuff.
Well, you know what? We're all about just helping church, and I say this sounds like I'm being sarcastic. I'm really not. It's mainly because I think it's partly because Juan's one of the funniest guys I know. So that's what I was saying. It's going to be hard to make it through this.
Oh, the whole thing to actually say anything of importance, right?
Even yeah, even when you're not trying to be funny, I just laugh at what you say. I don't know.
Good.
I mean that as a compliment. I mean,
remind me not to speak at your funeral.
I mean that in the nicest way possible. But but we do like to. We don't want every time we put stuff out there on the internet just to be about the stuff that we do, because there's a lot of churches that we hang with and talk to, and relationships we got that could use some advice outside of the stuff that we specialize in. So here you are. Actually having Neil, our pal Neil Dose on here next week, talking about church leadership and preparing, get everybody back to church from the summer. And so that should be
Okay.
fun.
That's cool.
Neil,
Yeah, hopefully I don't steal any of his thunder, any of his beats.
yeah, I don't think so. I
Oh,
don't think so. He'll just make it up on the spot. So
right.
it'll be. So before we talk about, I've got some questions I was going to ask you. We'll talk about it. But what's going on with Casting Crowns? What are y'all up to?
Man, well, right now, if you look at the calendar, there's nothing. There's something this weekend. We got like a few dates this weekend, but like July and August have been pretty light. But that's because we did a spring tour. We did 2 spring tours back to back, and then we went to Europe. So it was like the second spring tour was like 2.5 weeks, 4 days at home, 2.5 weeks out, and then 3 days at home, and then we left for Europe, and it was just I was a little bit mad coming home. I don't know if I'm getting old or soft. I'm like, God, I haven't been home for like a month, 2 months. So, got back home. That's the thing though. I actually like being out on the road right now because we live way out in the woods. We bought a bunch of property, and every
Yeah.
time we come home, Melody goes, "Let's build a greenhouse. Let's get chickens. Let's put a pergola outside." And there's only one person right now qualified to do any of that work. And so,
So
but right before I came here, I was putting a post down, like concrete, and I don't know if how many of your people live in Georgia, but there's 2 modes of Georgia dirt. It's hard as steel, like you can't dig in it at all. You need a pickaxe and dynamite, or like if it rains, it's like pudding. So it's like there's zero there's zero in between. So I was out
exactly.
there working on that. But then we got well, I know you wanted to talk about like how things have changed, but for us, you would go into the studio and make an album, 10 songs, and then it's done. But we did so we had an album come out in February, and we're going to have one come out in September. And they're like EPs, so like 7 songs a piece. So September, we're going to go out on a tour. I think so. The first one was called Healer, and I don't know if we have a second title or if we're just going to call it Healer 2 or Healer the Comeback or
Healer
Healer This
part,
Time It's Personal. Yeah.
pardon me.
That kind of stuff.
So a couple questions back to the EP, the 7 song thing. Is that just you guys just like lazy? Is it just running out of creativity?
This is well, running out.
A
What's
lot of
funny
bands,
is no,
a lot
I'm
of bands
saying
are doing that. So I was kind of wondering that seems, is that like a streaming thing now that
yeah, it's because
people aren't buying CDs?
most of the music is consumed online or streaming or on demand. So that puts a lot
You
more
almost just
pressure.
release a song a month.
Yeah, well, that's what you're doing now.
Exactly.
We'll have a 7-song thing, but then one song comes out, then another song comes out, and it's kind of like it is about that. And to me, there's a lot more pressure on each song. Like you would have like there was a B-sides used to be a thing,
Just
and you'd be like,
throwaway songs.
yeah,
Nobody cares about those.
you're like,
We
yeah,
like
we'll
them.
just do this, do a little thing we like, but then like now every song's important. And but it's what's funny, you said run out of stuff. What's funny is like earlier when we'd make CDs, it'd be like 10 songs now. And Mark he would have 9 really good thought out songs. We'd record those and maybe do a worship cover. Or we'd have 10 songs and he's like, that's it. That's all I'm gonna do. But like this time he had 14, and like in the middle of us recording, maybe the third or fourth one, I think John Michael, his son's playing bass with us now. He's like, why don't we just do like 2 EPs and stuff? And that's the way it's gone. And it gave us a little bit more time to spend on the songs, and it spreads it out so that way you don't forget about us. We have one for the spring and one for the fall. You're like, what
Yeah,
happened to Casting Crowns? Bam, another CD.
here we
Oh,
are.
I say album, but yeah.
So, man, how long has it? So you guys moved from Daytona Beach. That would have been like, gosh, that was 01.
Yeah, it was '01. We met Mark in '99, so he came on to be the youth pastor, and I was trying to lead worship back then, just playing
Yeah.
guitar and singing songs, and yeah, that was '99. We moved to Georgia in '01, and we hit the road as Casting Crowns in 2003. So
Okay.
yeah, all that's been a while.
So yeah, that was I remember those days because I had interned with Mark in 1998 here in Loganville, Georgia, and then he left me and came to Daytona, and I stayed at that church for a while, and then I went and served in '99 from '99 to '03 at Mark's dad's church, where Mark's dad was
Yeah.
an associate pastor, and and then I went to a little church in Palmetto, Georgia, and yeah, because you guys
We
came,
did a D now
we came
there.
and did our D now in
Yeah.
03, and that was like the first, like it had gone, because you guys had done D nows for me, but that was like pre-record deal. So it went from like calling Mark being like, hey, can y'all come up and do
Talk
this,
to booking.
to like the next
management.
year, it's like I'm having to talk to a booking agent and fill out paperwork. Like, do you know who I am? This is
Like,
John O'Long.
down there, like, and spell that. Could you spell that for me, please? Like,
So-
I've known Mark since the 90s.
He baptized me. So, but man, it's that I remember coming down to Daytona to visit Mark and Melanie and meeting you, and that would have been, man, that's like 20 years ago or more.
Jeez, I can't believe it. I remember
We're
being
getting
down
old.
there going. At least at the time, I was like, I wish I could have been with those guys in Loganville at Center Hill. Like, I wish it could have been those guys. They sound cool. I was sitting there
We were,
hanging out with teenagers.
so the name Mark gave that band was New Life Rookies.
Yeah,
I still have that
I
CD.
thought it was clever. Yeah, even back then, like, so he came to like do a guest speaking at our church, and then while I was leaving, he gave me a CD, and then like a week later, I was like, "Hey, can I do some of these?" I was like getting permission to do his songs in our youth group, so I knew something was going on there.
Yeah. The guy, he got a set of pipes on him.
Did you just come visit though? I'm trying to remember. Didn't you do a summer intern thing?
No, I came down one time just to visit, I remember, and then I came and helped with a couple D Now weekends, or and then I went to summer camp a few times too.
With us
At Daytona. Yeah, I remember.
Did you
I
go?
remember
Do you
rooming
remember the theme of the summer camp that we did? Because
Scooby Doo, because I played Shaggy in the sketches.
right. I forgot all about that.
And that is when we connected over the Brian Regan comedy CD.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That's when that's when it really happened.
That's
Before
when
then,
sparks
nothing
flew,
went.
when we started sharing Brian Regan
Like
jokes.
violin music and stuff. You like stand-up comedy?
Yes, I forgot about playing Shaggy in the Scooby Doo sketches, because man, that takes me back. So and I'm sure everyone is enjoying hearing about our
reminiscing.
reminiscing
How we fell in love
from 2001. Anywho, back to what's good. So Casting Crowns, you guys have you've got 7 songs written and published and are dropped. You dropped 7 songs. That's what they say in the biz.
Yeah, we got 7 songs out there.
What is it about? Where did that come from? We're going to drop. Just drops.
I don't know, man. I thought it was a toilet humor at first. We're going to drop these.
Dropping a new album.
How about find something? How about we just release them? Like
our album drops.
Like
that's really weird. Like, there's nothing dropping about it or fall. It doesn't fall. It doesn't
download.
I don't know. Could you ask some music? Could you ask some music industry insiders about that and get back to us?
I'm gonna call all my people. I'm gonna send out a mass email. Guys, I need the history of the word dropped. It probably goes back like 50 Cent or something.
Need some context. Yeah. I feel like who knows? Weird. So what's something besides the fact that you're apparently handy and build fences? What's something interesting about you we don't know?
Handy. I just do the thing. What we all do, dads of this generation. We get on YouTube, and we're out there. I'm out there in the field going, okay, you dig it. Deep, and I got that going. I got to dump in the cement now. What is that? Oh crap! I got to go to Lowe's. So that's basically you go. Oh, I forgot I needed that thing. But
I don't even attempt stuff because those videos are like math problems. Like the teacher, like in algebra, they would always show you a couple examples for the homework. Then you got home and got halfway through the homework.
Oh yeah, you're like
started changing. It wasn't exactly like what she showed you. And
these letters are Greek. You didn't show me any Greek letters in class. Yeah.
Why do we have letters in math problems? Who put letters in here?
Man, that's I don't even want to get into that.
That was.
I'm running out of like people will ask me that on podcasts. They go, what's something interesting about?" So before I've said, in case some of your listeners haven't heard it, like my degree is actually in aviation, so I was supposed to be a pilot, supposed to be an airline pilot, but also recently, within the last couple of years, I just had an opportunity to start doing stand-up comedy and also improv, which is super fun. Which I didn't know I was kind of doing as a youth leader. You're doing it anyway. Whenever you do any
Yeah.
skit at all, you're doing improv pretty much.
Yeah.
So every year in the last 6 years at youth camp, Neil will be like, "Hey, let's be two characters." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And the weird thing is, in the last 4 years, I've actually written like 4 songs. Mark's like, "Hey, man, you can record an album of these. They're just funny, stupid songs, and the kids sing them all week, and they annoy their parents." It's like if you give somebody's kid a drum set for Christmas. That's basically what I've done. When they come home from camp, they're singing the stupid song, and their parents are like, "What did you do? Why did you sing this song?"
Return that to him.
Yeah. So, is that enough interesting things? Can I have
Yeah,
another?
no, stand up. Man, I've wanted like the past few times that you've put on social media you were
Oh,
doing,
yeah.
and I've tried to make it and just
So busy, I can't come see you.
ended up
No,
watching
no.
Criminal Minds instead. So, but next time, now I'm gonna be. But now improv kind of would. It seems like that would stress me out. Like,
That's to me, it's the other so, like, stand up, you're all by yourself, and there's
yeah,
nobody responsible but you. Like, if this thing stinks, it's all on you. On improv, you can blame everybody else. No, it's more
true,
like teamwork, and, like, when
true.
I'm like, you can't
You're like
pause when you're
Michael
doing
Starn.
Stop. He said he had a gun. No, see, when you pause, somebody else is doing something, so you can kinda, like and it's just reacting. So you don't even
Yeah,
have to study up. You just walk in and they'll go, "Hey, let's do this," and you just be in the moment. So stand-up's not like that at all. Stand-up's totally pre-planned, and
yeah.
if it stinks, then you're the guy. You got the stunk.
Uh, One of the funniest things I've ever been to, we did go, me and Heather went to an improv show one time. We were in Orlando. I think we were at Disney World or something with her family 20 years ago, probably. We went to
Did you go to
improv.
Saks
What?
downtown? Sorry, that was my mic. Did you go to Saks downtown?
That sounds familiar, but this would have been like when we first got married, like in '02 or '03.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it was some improv club like you had to go to, and we're like, well, we don't have kids, let's go.
Yeah,
And it was hilarious, man.
yeah. It's always
So
fun.
I don't know, that could be fun. So
You could do improv, and that's the cool thing. I think anybody could do it.
well, and we still haven't. Unfortunately, we've been talking for over a year about being a fake influencer
Oh my
on
gosh, I
on
forgot
social
about that.
media,
I have
and
the clothes. Yeah, we forgot about that.
yeah, man, it's rough having children and lives, and
Yeah, apparently, to be an
but
influencer, you must only influence. You can't do
I
anything
guess so,
else.
man, because we have some great ideas to make fun of influencers
Oh my
that I
gosh.
really think the world needs to hear and experience, but
We
we haven't got around to it.
I need
So
it. Yeah, that's we're starving the world right now of
yeah.
our influencing. So,
So
sorry.
so you I think one of the cool things about casting crowns and something that's always been cool is you guys have always everybody in the band's always been nobody became a rock star and just checked out of the church. You guys have stayed connected with the local
Oh,
church,
yeah.
and um you guys so I know when I was on staff at Eagles Landing, when we were at church together, you were leading the worship band there and playing on Sunday morning and leading worship there. And
Yeah,
um,
in big
so I
church.
think that's a cool thing.
Oh, thanks. No,
So
that's like a vital thing for us. So, except that Hector did turn into a rock star. He's no, he he actually our first guitar player, Hector Cervantes, he's on staff leading worship at another church. So like everybody,
also one of the funniest guys I know. I'll
oh, no, he's
dude.
great. He's awesome. We have it. We still text. We never so like I don't know if this is just a guy thing, but like we'll never say happy birthday or like, hey man, I saw that your kids are celebrating this. We'll just like text stupid Star Wars memes to each other and comment on that. They were never checking in with each other. We're just like, hey, this is Mace Windu and he's swinging a hot dog. Isn't that hilarious? So everybody can Google Mace Windu now that doesn't understand the prequels. But
Doesn't get that joke.
That was always a vital thing, and then I don't know, I guess maybe you could just chalk it up, and I don't wanna be oversimplistic, but I guess chalk it up to just the Holy Spirit and that holy discontentment. So, like, I can't just sit in church. I gotta be feel like I gotta do something, and God's given me the gift of music, and I actually love playing it. I love being on this. I'd say I love being on stage on Sunday morning, but when I'm out in the crowd, I'm like, I should be up there doing it because I feel like that's where my place is
Yeah.
playing music and adding to the atmosphere of worship in there. And then with on Sunday nights or Wednesday nights, we do our youth group gets together, and I have like a bunch of teenagers that want to learn how to play in a band. And that's to me, I really love teaching. That's probably one of my big deals is, and so teaching them, and then once they like, I like to take a band that's completely not together at all, and then eventually when you feel them, you can like feel them lock in, and when a song finally clicks, it's just a good. I'll actually a couple of times I've stopped and go, wait, did you feel what just happened? And they're like, what? They thought I was they thought I was calling down like, no, everybody, we're playing together. It was awesome. So it's one of my favorite things.
Well, that's something that, and I think it's something good to point out that that I learned from Mark, and I think we all did. You were saying this before we went live that
Oh
like
yeah.
we were both under Mark's tutelage as far as ministry goes, and kind of the way we do things, and so we've got a lot of kind of on the same page in a lot of ways. But I think one thing that I always struggled with that I think you've done well, and I think Mark probably instilled had something to do with that in both of us, but you like when I would have a student band as a youth pastor, we would have a student band and or even the Sunday morning band. It was always that tension of wanting it to be amazing, and especially as social media has come
Oh
out,
yeah.
you see everybody else's worship band and how awesome they are, and some of these guys they've got paid, hired guns, and whatever you think about that. Maybe we can talk about that in a minute, but I know it was always instilled in us, and what I've seen you guys do is, and I remember Mark just telling me one time, like, man, if you're going to get kids involved in ministry, you're going to have to be okay with some of them being terrible at it for a little while.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes for the worship team. Like, you got to let go of having like perfect music and instrument,
Yep.
perfect musicians.
Yeah.
If you're ever going to get any of these teenagers to like step up and serve,
Yeah.
and
On the youth group level, it's a balance because you don't want it to be distracting either. Because
but
like
it can
you
be
have
so bad that
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
you don't want
you
to put
don't
them
want
in
it
a
to be
position to embarrass themselves either.
so. And the other way I've heard it put is that you want them to win when they get up there. You want to be like, okay, you can actually say, okay, that was good. You guys did good. So it's like you have to all I've ever told them with students at least, I've been like, man, all I want is for you to promise that you'll learn and practice to get better, and then to be teachable, to be coachable, and that after a while it'll just be good because you're getting better, and then when you listen to us and you're able to get a little bit better, then everything else will just it'll get better. You just got to be able to practice. So that's the only thing I've ever told them, and then. Um, the way I teach, actually, I think I teach the way I learn. If something's really complex, like basically playing your instrument, but with like 10 other people, it's really complex. So I try to learn in layers. So I was like, at
Yeah.
least get this. And then once you got that, then you can get this. And then you can get this. And after a while, so if you're leading a student band, that takes a ton of patience because the first thing is just leading the practice. They're musicians. So they want to play in the thing is the drummer always
Especially the
hits
drummer. It's like,
drummer hits the snare at the wrong
shut
point,
up.
right? He goes, "All I want
Yeah.
you guys to do is push," like, whatever the word was that you're trying to get out,
Yeah.
you're whatever the important word was, he'll hit the snare on that. But so I'll just go, "Okay, hold on, everybody, all right." And then the other thing is, I do this thing where I'm like, "Okay, when everybody is ready to play, you'll be quiet," like kind of thing, like a little second grade teacher sort of thing. "Okay, when you're ready, let's be quiet." But
I
it
like the
works because
way Jimmy is being quiet over there, and I
yeah,
like
well
the way that Sally is listening to me.
because I've been not the band leader and I'm over there and like something's going nuts. And so I'm having to make noise to fix it. And so I know when I am leading the band, I'm like, okay, let them mess around, but when we're ready to start the song, they may be trying to learn the lick or something or trying to get it right. And then
Yeah.
so I just like give them a second. That's kind of my because like when you're the band leader, you're like, okay, let's do it. Let's do the song. Come on. But there's guys. All you know is there's noise. That's all you know.
Yeah.
But when you start yelling at them, then it's really tense. And so I kind of if somebody is, it sounds like they're just goofing around. I go, hey, you okay? You ready to start? That's all I need to do, and they'll go, oh yeah, because it's sometimes guitar players. They'll if you're talking to the vocalist, they'll be over there doing the
Yeah.
Leonard Skinner.
They all do. They just
Like,
start
yeah,
strumming,
they're
kind of get in their
musicians.
own world and forget that anyone else is there.
Yeah,
So,
so
uh, so kind of,
I did not answer your question.
well,
You're talking about well, we strive for excellence. So yeah, I just try to with the students. That's the to me, I think that's the most beginner you can get before you. We do have like a thing with the little kids, the elementary kids, but there's somebody playing with them. That's the other thing is I'm playing with the students, so I'm playing acoustic usually. If you're a
yeah,
keyboard player, that's another good instrument to play to kind of help everybody go along at the
yeah,
same time. But like following a click, those are basic things. Following a click, hitting the right chords, those are things you take care of in rehearsal. And then by the time you're on stage, if you know when to begin the song and end the song, and then you kind of go and you do the right phases and those kind of things, it'll be good enough where it won't be distracting. I can tell you that just
yeah.
as an encouragement.
So now, how do you? And this was always a struggle, and we even went through a phase years ago where we were doing auditions for the youth band because we had some really good musician kid, teenagers, um, and so the struggle was there was always a few teenagers who thought they could sing and wanted to be on stage and just flat out honest just could not and probably could have learned with heavy doodle vocal
Right.
lessons for years and years and years, but the worship band wasn't none of us had the capability of getting them. We could take
Right.
good people and make them great,
Right.
but taking them from like nothing to good was a lot
Right. Like
more
if
difficult.
you can't hold a tune, yeah.
And so, we wanted to do auditions so that because the cool thing about auditions, the good
The thing is, I feel all of your frustration right now. It's
the
like I know
perk
what
of
you're talking.
auditions and what we learned was there was this kid that had been coming for years and we had no idea that he played any instrument. We did auditions and you had to sign up what instrument and what song you were going to play. You came to auditions ready to do a song and he
Yeah.
said drums and Eye of the Tiger.
All
We're like,
right.
okay.
Yeah.
And so we would always give everyone the spiel. No one laughs at anyone during this audition. If someone bombs or something and you laugh, and that's
Yeah.
automatically you're struck. So we had kind of set it up that way, and it was kind of for this kid because we're like, there's no
We
way.
don't know. Yeah.
And dude, he gets up there and killed it and was amazing. And it's like, oh, you're the new drummer now. And so there was always these teenagers who they're not going to come to you and be like, hey, by the way, I'm awesome at drums.
Right.
They had some humility about them and they just weren't going to do it unless you asked them. So we discovered all kinds of talent that we didn't know about, which was that was the upside of auditions. The downside was there were the ones that did come to you and say, hey, I'm awesome. And then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's when like,
That's a flag, my friend.
And
Oh,
so
are
there
you?
was always you had to cut people, or even if you're not doing auditions, you're going to end up with people who the Lord's leading me to be in the band.
Right. I've got
And
a
have
song
you had to
for
handle
you.
that? Have you had to deal with some of that? And how
I'm
did you? Because I'm sure.
I'm I'm a non-confrontationalist, so I've only a couple of times had to like kick people out of the band, but it was for like behavioral problems and stuff like that. But that was only because what makes things easier for me is like if I set it up ahead of time, like so we'll have a for I'm coming from the thing of students. I think adults are a lot different too, but for two words for one thing, youth choir. I don't know if you've if you've ever done that. Somebody wants to sing, you can stand and just sing. We'll have a little choir back there. So I've done
Be
that
wonderful.
before.
Hey, that's
I've
not a
never
bad thing.
found any like hard and fast rules for any of this too, because auditions give you the people who are willing to do what it takes, right, to get better, and that they really love what to do. Because especially with teenagers, they're like 14, 15. You don't know. You just mom bought me a drum set, so I'm gonna I can bang
Yeah.
on it. So maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. So that's your whole 14, 15-year-old like, maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. So unfortunately band comes into that. But so I've done youth choir, I've done things like I've done things that happen a little more organically where um, if I have a lot of people, I'll put them on rotation. So if somebody's a weak singer, I'll pair them up with stronger singers and those kind of things. And then eventually, with students at least, they'll kind of weed themselves out sometimes, so I don't have to do that. But
Yeah.
putting expectations in there, like this is what we expect you to do, and I have been like, hey, with somebody who like a kid came up and didn't know the chord. He's like, "What's this chord?" And it's like E minor. And I went, "Well, this is kind of how you got to be able to do this, and it's really hard for me to do the whole band and then come over here and show you how to do chords. So why don't you
Yeah.
go learn these chords and get some practice."
Like,
But
yeah, we want to teach you stuff, but these also aren't necessarily music lesson, instrument lessons either. So that, yeah,
another thing I've heard too that we've done in the past, but I don't know if it's going to be very effective. But you could have like a worship jam day, and so
uh,
you don't put out a call and go, "Hey, we need people on the stage." You just go, "Hey, we're gonna get together Sunday afternoon, have some pizza, and just bring your instrument. We'll sing worship songs." And from that, you'll go, "Okay,
you're
that guy's
scouting.
really good."
Oh,
Yeah, and then after a while, you go and talk to him one on one. That way, you're not going, "But hey, you want to come?"
that's a good
Play
idea, man, because
play your
that takes
flute
the
worship.
pressure and it takes the because it always the audition thing kind of always felt elitist too.
There's
It's
yeah,
like,
you're that's the thing is there's the list and there's people who are in and people who are not in. And so, yeah, so
yeah,
that's
which
actually, yeah, the other thing too that might help if you're a youth leader. I'm giving like free youth leader advice too, but I think having other ministries too will help. Like if all they see is these people on the stage, that's what ministry is. Or if you're uh, doing drama
yeah,
or the band, but if there's like you know, you had like a thing where you were packing lunches, right? We were doing
yeah,
for people that were refugees, that kind of stuff. There's people who have hearts for that kind of thing. But let's say you got a girl that can't really sing, but that she just wants to do ministry. That's in her head. And she goes, I just
yeah,
want to sing. So if you have other things in place too, that kind of helps to go, hey,
yeah.
you know what? They need help over here.
Yeah, yeah. No, but that's a good point. That's a good point. And even if you, uh, we were, that was another thing that was ingrained with us. Like everybody's not an upfront person, and there are the kids who, and this goes for adults too. I mean,
Yep.
it's like they're create opportunities for ministry. So along those lines, what's the craziest moment? And I guess one of my favorite Instagram accounts, what is it? Worship Leader Probs.
Is it
Uh,
probs or yeah, because there's a worship fails too.
is worship. Oh yeah, that one's good too.
That'll do
I
like
feel a
the
little
cross
guilty.
falling off onto the drummer.
Yes,
Did
yeah.
you think there were hazards involved with being a drummer?
Well, we have, because I play drums on Sundays at our church, a couple times a month, and for a long time, our drum shield, the plexiglass,
Right.
bulletproof
We all
shield,
know it.
uh, was always wobbly, and the hinges were kind of coming off, and then we had like a plywood carpeted
Right on
top kind
top
of
of it.
sitting on it,
Like a
and so,
stage, like another stage on this little,
dude, it's the
flimsy
heaviest
piece of
piece of
plastic.
plywood ever, and so I just finally got new hinges, man. But there was a solid year where I just knew there was going to be a video of me with, a cracked
Why
L3 or
is
something,
why
from
is
this piece of
Jono wearing a
plywood.
football helmet back there in the
And
drum cage?
I just imagine myself having to hold it up during worship, play with one hand
Okay,
while waiting on the tech team to come like fix it.
that would actually rock if you could catch it and you're just like you keep it going with one hand. Oh my gosh.
We're going to finish this.
You would go viral for the best reasons, but
So I
what were you
don't,
saying? Worship leader probs. What was your that
yeah.
was the one.
So
Yeah, I
have you
follow.
ever had any of those moments? I mean, like 20
Oh,
years or more. Uh,
well
there's got to be some funny moment. Is there a funny moment you
yeah,
can
when
share?
you said
Or
funny moment, I thought
this could
we
be a
had
casting
one
crowns stage moment too.
kind of.
Go
It
for
kind
it.
of is because you were with us when we were doing a homeschool prom. I don't know
Oh,
if I say that. Yeah, okay. I didn't know if I was gonna trigger you by saying that. But
ah,
so it was a
so
homeschool prom. which was
So this was
walking in. Yeah, go ahead.
So I was playing drums for that. This
Yeah,
was
you're just
in the
covering for him.
transition before y'all found a real drummer,
Yeah,
and I filled in for the homeschool proms.
yeah.
Anyway, carry
Sometimes I
on.
don't pay attention until we get to the thing, and I was like, well, we were walking in the door, and I was like, homeschool prom? So it was like, and I was like, are they gonna be dancing? Yeah, they were dancing, and so we were doing. I remember. So there's a song. I can't remember who sings it. I think it was Steve Fee. The hungry. We are hungry. We are hungry for more of you. And they're slow dancing
Slow
to that.
dancing to it.
Yeah, hand in hand, just kind of swaying back and forth. And it was just the weirdest. I don't know, like other guitar players, I know they tell you not to look down, but that's all I did that night. I'm just like, I'm gonna worship here, and we're not gonna worry about anything that's going on out there. But Mark always tries to connect. He always tries to, you know, invest in the crowd. He's always, he always wants to be interactive. He never wants to be. So he was trying so hard
They were not
the whole
listening,
night.
man. They did
Nope,
not even know we were there.
care. We were the band from Billy Madison.
It
When he's
was,
like, Billy passed the third grade. That was us that night.
it was total background music.
And,
There were
oh, for sure. And so
that was
my favorite line of that whole night was Mark was like, we had one more. I think we were gonna do live song or something at the end. I'm trying to remember if we had that yet. No, we didn't have that one. We did. It was another cool song, and it was like upbeat song. And Mark was like, "Hey, I appreciate you guys having us out here. Don't let our worship get in the way of you guys having fun." And I was like, "What? From the stage?" We always talk, like me and Mark. We've always joked about the worship leaders that turn on the crowd and like, we're not going to do anything else until you guys sing into this. Like, or come on, guys. It was like the cheerleader. But Mark finally just like, you know
he'd
what?
had enough.
We're gonna worship God. You guys do whatever you want to do, but we're gonna be. He pulled a Jesus juke on him at the homeschool prom. But that is a little awkward. I mean,
The thing I remember about that night too was one of the last songs we played was, I think Crowns ended up redoing it, but at the time it was like the "I lift my hand, shadow of your wings."
oh yeah.
And
Yeah, that's old
I
school.
totally started it off like I was playing 2/4 time. I was double
Like that.
the band. Yeah, it was terrible. Like we literally had to stop. But
I
Mark
don't
turned around and was
remember
like,
that.
"No one's listening. It's fine." And it was like whatever, man. They're slow
You
dancing.
I don't remember
Which
stopping
reminds
that.
so
I'm sorry.
that brings up another memory because when we were in the youth group and Third Day's first album came out, there was this. I remember we were at like a birthday party, and there was a bunch of youth group kids there, and the girlfriend it was her boyfriend's birthday party, and she wanted to dedicate this next song to him, and it was "Just to Be With You" by Third Day, which is totally about Jesus, doing whatever it takes
Us.
to get to you.
Gosh.
But she totally, it was all about her and him, and she dedicated it. And I think they were slow dancing there, maybe even making out. It was terrible. So
Oh no, that's
yeah,
incredible. Oh my gosh.
no.
What did we do? Surely somebody at that homeschool prom was like, "This is weird. We shouldn't have done this." Like the teacher, an adult, somebody in the back going, "What? This is not right. Something's wrong about this." I could see having like a worship service, but that really wouldn't been a homeschool
Well,
prom-y kind of thing.
I could say this because we've homeschooled all five of our children. But I can totally see how many
Really?
homeschool parents would have no clue that it was weird at all.
We'll
We've
just do
been to
worship
homeschool.
music.
We've been to
Oof.
homeschool conferences. It's not that far of a stretch.
I guess they just replaced, Jay-Z with JC.
Ooh.
I didn't even know where I was going with that one till no, but they're just like, let's have a regular prom and we'll just do worship music.
Listen,
Surely that would.
the teens will love it. The teens
That's.
will love it.
I guess our problem was we were coming in there thinking that
They were
we
going to
should.
listen and pay attention.
We were. Yeah, we should. Well, it wasn't more about paying attention, but it was like we should try to engage the crowd and help them to encounter God. That was our. That's one of those weird worship band quirks. When you bring in a worship band. So this is for everybody that wants to bring in a worship band to your whatever your event is. Our mindset is we're going to engage the people and then try to get them to engage with God. That's kind of the purpose. That's the whole thing about that.
Yeah.
So that was our fault though. That's on
Ah,
us. That's our
that was
bad. Sorry
yeah,
about that,
memories.
guys.
No, those were I wonder if there's anybody who was at that homeschool prom as a teenager who became like a Casting Crowns fans, like, "They were at our prom.
They just wake
I
up in a cold
slow
sweat.
danced to"
I think Who Am I might have been written at that point. I think we might have
Yeah.
sang it. Yeah.
Uh,
So
so,
oh my
um,
gosh.
so something else I was thinking about it, and I didn't share this with you before, but another thing I was going to brag on, and this is just something you could talk about a little bit about.
About our crowns? Yeah. Brag on us. I'll talk
So
about it.
over the years, we would, I was a youth pastor for 20 years, and um, there were a lot of uh, every year we'd have Disciple Now weekend or D Now or whatever you call it,
Oh, yeah.
and we would have different bands in, and it kind of got to where some of the bands, well, a lot of the bands we were having, um, they'd come out and do the sessions, and then they'd sit. We had a room where they kept all their stuff, but that's where they hung out all weekend, and maybe we kind of fed a little bit of that because we got them their own food and stuff,
They
and so
put
it
it in the room, yeah.
was kind of this green room feel.
Right.
And then, um, gosh, I don't know, it's been several years now, but I oh, hey, there's Brad Holloway just joined us, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
messaged me like a week ago while I was on vacation, and I read it and did not respond. Brad, I will message you back. Now that I saw your name, that just like
Gotta consolidate your
I woke
social
up one night thinking about that. Like I did not. So anyway, I forgot to message him. But anyway, so the band from Eagles Landing came and led worship for our now, and I remember our students and adults being like, because when it was like rec time when we were out playing games, the band came out and like jumped in like, hey, can we play? And sat in the meals with us, and they were in the audience during the message taking notes like during the speaker's sermon. And so it was total fruit of you guys pouring into them and telling them like, hey, you guys aren't the rock stars, you're doing ministry here. And so I guess
Yeah. I'm just glad you said we weren't freaking anybody out. Like, can we play with you? I'm like, these guys. This is
no,
weird.
everybody loved it, but it was kind of jarring there at
these-
first. Like, why does the band want to play tug of war?
Why are they sitting with us at lunch? This is
Yeah.
weird. What are we talking about?
So, that doesn't just happen. So you guys have obviously, talked about it, but how do you kind of create that culture?
Some of it's on purpose. So we have to be like, okay, it's hot, I know, but we got to, go out there. Um, let's that's another way of connect. If you're a band and you're at a camp, that's your job is to connect with the people. Actually, I was thinking about that because I was like, how much about worship have we actually talked about? Because what I teach is you connect with God on stage, you connect with God, and you connect with people. If you're only connecting with God, then you're not really serving the 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 role of worship leader. You're kind of having your own moment up there, and everybody else is kind of just watching. So you
Yeah.
connect with God and you connect with people. If you only connect with people, then you're a rock star, and you're not really leading them in worship. You're creating a fan base. So a cool thing is if you are doing worship at a camp or a D now is if you want to connect with people, there's more opportunities to do that. If you like me, Mark has really good charisma. I think you do too. You guys have, and then another Brian, that used to drum for us. He's got a home church, and he's pouring into foster care ministry. So that's why he's a little busy for Crowns. But no, he just felt God calling him into that and away from Crowns. But he's a guy that just knows somebody everywhere. I don't work that way. It takes a little while for me to warm up, and because I'm completely introverted, so I have to warm up to people. I gotta be like, "Hey, how's it going?" Oh, and that's like 10 questions, and by that time, I'll warm up to somebody. So that doesn't happen from the stage for me. I gotta be like, I have to have other time. So that's why
Yeah.
when I do rehearsal with the students, I gotta have like 10 minutes with them just to talk to them about how things are going and like check in with them. Because I can't walk into a room and go, "Hey, everybody, circle around, I'm coming," and then I'm not. I
Yeah.
have to like. I feel like I have to yell to be the center of attention because my voice isn't that loud either. So Uh, Part of that is not is on accident because we're just youth people anyway, and we got that gear. We got that missing chromosome or something that makes you you want to go out and play water balloon fights. Usually, at a certain age, you give that up. But this our youth camp, we had the water balloon sling. Have you
Oh
tried
yeah.
those?
Oh yeah.
I haven't played with one in a long time. Well, of course, the guys want to stand out there in a line, like the soccer penalty line when they're
Yeah.
doing the penalty kick. So they're out there standing like that, in whatever way you want to say it. And me and the adult guys are flinging, you know, uh, golf ball sized water balloons at
Oh,
'em, yeah, at like supersonic speeds. And they
that's
were
like
like,
shooting paintball at him, man.
yeah, it was a big deal. We didn't actually end up hitting anybody, but it was that kind of machoist, just boys out there doing that. So that's part of that too, is that we still enjoy that stuff. And I did go out there, and one came that I heard it go by, and I couldn't even. You ever have anything go by you so
Uh,
fast that you flinch after? It's like,
yeah.
"Poosh," and you go, oh, well, I would have not been able to dodge that at all.
Yeah.
But that's a purposeful thing. That's another reason. That's why we stay in connected to the church, is because that's it just you just well, for one thing, community is a biblical principle to be connected to other people and not just
Yeah.
be by yourself back in the back room. But going out there, and the other thing is, every time to me, at least in my head, every time the gospel is preached, if it's to elementary kids, if it's to senior citizens, I need to hear something. There's something in what this person's saying. Scripture, for crying out loud. I
I'm
need to
not
hear.
past it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like I need to hear something out of this. So that's why I take notes, and also try to I take notes because every person I think should journal at some point. But then you look back and you go, oh, God was teaching me this in the moment. But all that stuff goes into, I think, just being a good Christian, or being an attentive. I should say that we shouldn't. I don't know if we should need to focus on being a good Christian, but like being an attentive Christian, or being somebody, or staying connected.
Yeah.
To stay connected with God, you need to. There is a thing that happens where, um, maybe because you can, if you're like if you're a recording artist and you go touring, you can find really cool people to hang out with. But I think maybe you need to have. That's why we tell people to stay in your church, because you come back and you go, these aren't as cool as the people that I was on stage with the other night. And that's what happens, is you go, okay, well, they're different, but they have
Yeah.
these. Hopefully God starts to open up your eyes, and you go, oh, this is what they're good at. They're good at this. What we were just talking about, people being on stage, having stage talent or having off stage talent.
Yeah.
That's what you start to see when you're invested in a church, like personally. Because I'm teaching a life group here on this Sunday. I'll sub in because it's not every Sunday that we're here, and there is times where I'm like, God has to check my humility, because I want to. My natural bend is to let's get really deep. Let's get deep into the deep of things, God. And God's like, yeah, okay. Well, what about the thing I told you last week that's really simple, and you're still not doing that? Why do you want to know about the Trinity when you won't share the gospel
Yeah.
to the homeless guy that you gave him like $5, but you didn't say anything about Jesus? So those are like, that's not really deep, but it's still not a thing that I'm obeying. So that's a thing I gotta get over. But
Yeah.
that's why when you're paired with other people that are gifted in different ways, it pushes you in that direction. That's why like, as a band, and even as a worship band, you got to stay in the
Yeah.
Yes, you're a part of that body of the church, man. So that's why you
Well,
need
and
to be.
there's a noticeable difference. I just think back to that D now. I mean, we've had tons of different bands in every year, but the ones.
Story. I got to tell you, because you got to remember this. The band got to the end, and the drummer like decimated his drum set, like kicked the kick drum over. Cymbal stands went everywhere. You're the youth pastor. And you come
Yeah.
after, and everyone's like, "Yay!" And you go, "Well, I guess there's no encore." He completely destroyed his drum set on stage. It was just so like a total rock and roll thing to do, and you go, "Well, I guess that's it."
Like,
Like at the end on microphone, you came out on the stage. That was my favorite.
that, I remember that night. Yeah, because y'all had been leading the worship, and then that was kind of the finale. And that
Yeah, the
band was
big big
that,
band.
that band was a local, like pretty popular.
Yeah,
Of course, 90s Christian music and early 2000s. I mean, there was that was a good time for Christian music, I would say. But that band was never hit it super big, but
right.
locally they were my
Yeah,
youth group's favorite band. and totally did not expect that moment. Like when it was over, yeah, just started smashing the drums.
I just love how because everybody, all the teenagers, like, okay, what's this about? And that's you
Yeah,
kind of come and said what everybody else was thinking.
and
I
we were
loved it.
fully expecting an encore. Like they were like, because the students would always one more,
Yeah,
And I'm like, well, okay, let's
unless you got an accordion or
ice
something, I guess we're done.
ice cream in the foyer.
Yeah.
This is over. This is it. That was it.
That's fantastic.
If anybody wants to help us vacuum up wood chips, charred
Yep.
drums from the stage, we could use a couple hands cleaning
Got a
up.
couple of duct tape. Let's loop around the duct tape and kind of tap on the ground.
It's just somebody get the shop vac. So, um,
Oh,
that's good. But what I was going to say is, you can.
sorry.
No, this is good, man. Even if no one else is enjoying this part of it,
Right.
this is
Oh,
good for
good.
my soul. But I will say that, like, out of all the bands, that when the guys from Eagles Landing, where you are, and that you've invested in, when those guys came, that one sticks out because of how they interacted with the students, but it also sticks out the students' response and engagement. Right off the bat, it didn't take until Saturday night for them to like kind of warm up to the band, because Friday night they were scattered around learning names.
Right.
And so there was a response and connection, right off the bat, that just made a huge difference in the whole weekend.
Yeah.
But in the worship service, just
Well, that's
especially.
cool.
So
I keep saying for students, but Mark says this a lot, is like adults are just teenagers with bills or something like that. That's the thing he says. So I keep saying that, like, because I think a lot of times at least with guys, when you're the band and you walk in, there's like this kind of thing with guys. At least it's like, oh, they're cool, I guess. But if you come off the stage, you go, hey man, what? And you just like learn their name and what they do at school, what their favorite thing is. They go, oh, they're interested in me as a person. So I guess it's not just a teenager thing; that's an everybody thing.
yeah,
So yeah, if you're leading worship at your church and you don't, I hate to say mingle, but you don't get out in the crowd and know people's names. What are you doing? But
yeah,
I kind of, well, okay, because I don't want to get against. So some guys do earn a living helping churches lead worship and stuff, but it's one thing that might be a drawback if you are paid to be at a church and that's not actually what you would call your home church. That's not where your community is, and that's a thing. And you're just doing a thing. You may be worshiping, but to me, at my church, when we're all singing together, and we're unified as brothers and sisters. That is really when Jesus said that two people gather and there I am in the midst of them. You actually are very fully aware of it at that moment, because
yeah,
there's not a band and the audience. There's the family, and everybody's doing their role. Um, everybody's
yeah.
kind of doing what God calls them to and moving in the spirit, and we're all worshiping God at that moment. That's why I love it so much, is because it's just you get just a drop of heaven in that moment, and it's
Yeah.
just great.
That's cool. That's very cool. So, and we probably need to land the plane here in a minute,
Yeah.
but
I've booked up my whole after. I mean, I've booked out my whole afternoon, so you got me
we
forever.
got hours.
You're ready?
We got hours. We're going to take a quick dinner
We
break.
take a potty
and,
break, yeah.
be back in. Everybody be back in 10. So, what's the biggest change that you've seen over the last 5-10 years with worship teams, just worship in general, positive, negative, and how you've had to adjust, or just what's been tough? And this may lead into kind of just maybe a piece of advice for anybody in church leadership that's got a little bit of hand in worship, just because there's so much tough stuff to deal with, whether it's a lack of musicians and you're trying to have a good band and do it with excellence, but you don't have you're a smaller church and you don't have a pool to
Well, I
really
will say
pull
something.
from, or
Yeah, let me
just,
say something about that real quick, because that's something I learned with teenagers. Is you always want something big and exciting and cool to do, but then like after the pandemic taught us many things, I think, and right after that we
what pandemic?
oh, you're right. No, I mean, there's a board game. We were like, when we were done with the board game, we learned some stuff from it,
Oh,
and we were just gathered. Gosh, the church built a foyer, like a new foyer, kind of help um, filter in or funnel in the guests, and kind of a cool entrance to come into. It's a
yeah,
more homey kind of thing. And we kind of took that over, the youth group did, and it's real echoey. And so we were just in there with just an acoustic guitar.
yeah,
And that was it. And total worship happened. And so you think you need a thing and you think you need to do it a certain way. But I would say, whatever you have, do as you're doing to the Lord. It's weird
yeah,
how it keeps coming back to scripture. But like if you go, man, all I got is just you look around at what you have, because there's a reason God's given you that. I think sometimes you got to be okay with small so that you understand how big God is and how much He can do. 5 loaves and fishes, man. This is my lunch. What's He gonna
yeah.
do with this kind of thing? So, what was the other thing you were talking about? You were talking
Well, no, that's
about
good
what's the
because I think
change?
that kind of relief. That I think that's a good pressure relief. I know. I
Yeah,
just but as a youth pastor, I just always felt this pressure. Like, man, we've got to have an amazing band, and I kind of grew out of that over time. But man, for first 10 years of ministry, it was like, man, if the band's terrible, then if we don't have an
ruins the
amazing
whole
band, then
thing. Yeah.
we're not even going to have a youth group.
People will die and go
And
and spend eternity without God because my
yeah,
band
man,
wasn't good.
I look the last church that I served at, some of the biggest growth we ever saw was over the course of a year and a half, where we had no one to lead any worship on Wednesday night with a youth group ever, and we never did a song whatsoever.
Wow.
And that was the time we grew the most, not because everyone was like, "Oh, good, they're not doing music." Um, but on the other hand, that could have been it because I mean, where else do you go? Like, you're inviting your friends.
Yeah, and you never want to play the opposite monster either, because it's like, we don't need music to worship God. But
It's
the truth of the
we're
matter
so
is,
spiritual.
you have people walking in your door. You have no idea what they're dealing with, or even worse, you know what they're dealing with, and then you're going to sing about happiness and sunshine and good things when they're in really dark moments. So that's a really
Yeah,
good opportunity. Worship is the opportunity. I feel like music is the quickest way to somebody's heart. Like if there's a storm going on in your head, God can use music to go straight at your heart. That way He can bypass all this junk that's happening here and kind of clear the clouds up really quick. That's
yeah,
why I love music, because you're into it at first, but then now you're into it. Then the words hit you, and if they're good scriptural, strong theology kind of stuff, then it's good. And I think we're heading back there. You're talking about the changes. I think maybe we got a little happy, a little too happy, and it happened in Christian music too. You're talking about the '90s, Christian rock and stuff. Um, it got a little away, and then I feel like it was lost until Crowns fixed it all. Came back with our no. I'm
we're
saying,
thankful. On behalf of the Universal Church, uh, I just want to thank you
thank
for
you for saving Christianity
thank
single-handedly.
you. We all owe you from the bottom.
No,
We don't say it enough. We don't
we're
say it
not
enough.
we're not the only ones that do that. But I will tell you, Mark, it's at least the reason I talk about us is that that's what I have the most experience with. I can tell you, Mark, every song we have, and you can, if you have a CD, you can open up that jacket, and there's scripture, there's um, and storm. I lift my eyes to the hills, where my help comes. That's one of the psalms. I was going to try to give the number, but I'm such a weak Christian. I don't know what the number is. 130, 130, Psalm 130. Oh, if it's Psalm 130,
We
then
didn't talk about that one in seminary. I don't remember.
anyway, we didn't cover that.
Never came
But
up.
that's what I'm starting to see. It's kind of coming back around. People are starting to dig into the Bible and trying to put the Bible into songs that we can sing with each other. That's what I think worship should be: is some sort of variation of Scripture interpreted for the audience. You're not a preacher as a worship leader, but you are a distributor of truth. So you got
Yeah,
to be giving them truth, right? Otherwise, it's just another song that you're giving them. That's another thing that I learned from Mark was, you can tell people your opinion, but if you give them scripture, they have to deal with that. They gotta go, am I going to accept this, or am I going to reject it? So
yeah,
I like to see
yeah.
that now.
Cool. So, advice for a worship leader or someone that's got a hand in it, or on a worship team, or um,
Man, you know what happens, especially because if worship leaders are creatives and they're artists and they want to see new things, we have a bit of a chronological snobbery. C.S. Lewis called it. Like if it's new, then it's good automatically. But the thing is, uh, so remember when we were making fun of hymns for a while, and then like 2 years, for 2 years, we did nothing but sing hymn covers.
yeah,
Like all of a sudden
yeah,
they came back, and now are we doing that anymore? It's gone again. So it was just
yeah,
like I guess it was a fad. I don't know. I really do like hymns, but that doesn't mean that the newer song that's you. So my problem is I have chronological snobbery, and the other direction is if it's old, then it's good. That's the thing I got to deal with
right.
personally. So, but the thing is, absolutely, and God taught me this. I say taught. I realized it. I don't know if I've learned it yet, but anything can become an idol. So, like, I'll give you an experience that I had. One, we went to Europe, and I really love. I do cherish old things. And we went to this really old cathedral. It was Anglican, and I bought the Book of Common Prayer and started going through it, just reading it. And I really loved how they infused Scripture into prayer. I started learning about how, growing up Baptist, every prayer was extemporaneous. You had to make it up, or otherwise it wasn't authentic, right?
Yeah,
Especially that's why we never did the Lord's Prayer in Baptist church. It's like you can't pray that; that's written down already. You got to make up another one on your own. I'm like, I
yeah,
think Jesus really wanted us to pray this. So I started doing that in my quiet time, just reading a prayer. So there's a thing called Valleys of Vision. It's um, Puritan prayers. There's a thing. There's a Lutheran prayer book that I have. Book of Common Prayer. There's Anglican. I probably will get fired. No, I'm not on staff. I'll be fired as a volunteer. But my encouragement is that anything can become an idol. So if you really like the the really chilled out music, whatever your music style is right now, that could be your idol. And like we were talking about, we feel like we needed a big band. That was the idol, right? Because we didn't
yeah,
believe God could do anything with just a kid, an acoustic guitar, or no music at all. And
yeah,
what's another? So absolutely everything, no matter how good it seems, can sit on the throne of your heart, and you're giving your worship to that. So the way that I've learned that is whatever I'm anxious about, or if I'm frustrated, or something makes me angry, there's something besides God sitting on the throne of my heart, and I'm worshiping that because that's
mm,
whatever. If because God's not going to fail me, and then if God is doing something to make me frustrated, that's because I'm leaning on this thing that's actually, like Proverbs says, a broken leg. It's
yeah,
I'm lame, and God's making me lean on it, and so it's causing me pain. And He's saying, "No, I'm the healer. I'm the one that you should put your trust in." So, um, being relevant, doing the hottest songs, only playing passion, whatever your thing is, that you're
mm,
really sold out to, I'd be willing to. And I quote C.S. Lewis a lot. I almost quote too much, but he's like, whatever you have, you hold it with an open hand and just say,
yeah,
God, do with this what you want. If you're writing songs and you're like, I really have to do these in church, maybe that's your idol. And just because God's giving you these songs, but you have to do this thing. I don't know. But
mm,
that's my challenge is I hope that's an encouragement, is that everything's open. All things are permissible, right? But not all things are wise. So just find out, is this a thing that's sitting on my throne instead of God? And the only thing that can save you from that is the guidance of the Holy Spirit. And so praying for wisdom and making yourself aware when you're angry, or like if you can't do something, like a pastor says, you can't do this in church, or you can't do this in the service, and you're angry about it. Well, why? Why is that you're frustrated now? So
yeah.
hope that helps.
No, that's good, man. That's deep. That is deep. That's
Hopefully.
take some notes there. So, no, man, that's good stuff. Well, dude, I totally we'll land the plane here and wind
All right.
things down. But thanks everybody who hung out with us and or who's listening and
Hey, Mark.
watching.
Hey, Vicky. My aunt's on, or she was.
So, Juan, thanks again for being with
Oh
us.
man, my
And
pleasure.
man, this was fun, and we need to do another lunch date soon.
Well, that's why I did the podcast, because we can't hang out all the time. So we're just like, let's talk about this. That's fine.
That works. All right, man. Well, thanks everybody, and we'll see you next time.